All right. Hello, everyone. Are we recording now? Yes. All right. Very good. Apologies for the lateness, technical difficulties that came up. We're going to today we're going to sort of play a little bit of Sesame Street, big and small. And the reason that we're going to do this is because of both the Parsha itself, which is the very first Parsha in Sefer Bamidbar, and because of the Haftarah, which was selected for it. If we look at the Parsha Bamidbar, we will see that, of course, it begins with a census, that the Jewish people is to take a census, an accurate recording of all the Jews from each tribe, from each family household. We are to take the Jews, and we find out that there is a tremendous number, over 600,000 Jews, men alone, of fighting age, 20 and older. And then the Parsha itself ends with a very interesting requirement. When it comes to the establishment of the Mishkan, and of course, as you know, the Mishkan did not stay in one place. It went where the Jews went and had to be assembled and disassembled. And the job of assembling and disassembling the Mishkan upon arrival at a new location and upon setting on their journey to go to the next place, was the family of Kahat from Levi. And the Torah tells us, "V'zot asu lahem," this is what they should do, "v'chayu v'lo yamutu," so that they should live and not bring upon themselves death. V'gishtam el kodesh hakodoshim, when they actually approach the sanctum sanctorum, when they approach the kodesh hakodoshim, Aaron uvanav, Aaron and his sons yavo, they'll come. V'samu otam ish al avodato v'al mas'o. Each person, of course, among the Kohanim, will have their job, and each person in Kahat will have his job of carrying, of assembling, of disassembling. And then the Torah says at the very end, "V'lo yavo lirot," they should not, the sons of or the family of Kahat should not gaze upon the Kodesh HaKodashim, kivala et HaKodesh v'metu, that if they are in fact engaged and they get too close and they touch the Kodesh, they'll die. So interestingly, this week's Parsha begins with the great counting, 600,000 people, actually 3 million people if you think about it. And it ends with concern for just one family. Now, the idea of shall we say, the census, whenever we're in a large crowd, a very large crowd, if any of us have been to sporting events, not even concerts so much unless the concert is held outdoors, but there is a certain sense when you're there of two feelings at the exact same time. The first is that I am part of something big. I am part of something magnificent. On the other hand, I realize precisely how small that I am. And the trick of life in general, and certainly here the Torah is teaching us that we must be able to almost simultaneously understand both concepts. The idea that I, as a Jewish person, am part of something great, far greater than I, and that greatness extends both vertically, past generations to present, and will continue with Hashem's help in the future. But on the other hand, I myself, being part of that which is big, I myself feel that sense of grandeur that every Jew who is committed and affiliated as a Jew feels that wondrous sense of something greater, but nevertheless being a part of that which is greater. And therein we have this idea in the Parsha. It begins with an almost overwhelming number, and it concludes with concern for every single person of even one family. That, in a nutshell, is Judaism. But I'd like to also point out that we have the Haftorah, and the Haftorah is taken from Hosea, and the Haftorah uses almost that exact same theme. What is that? The Haftorah begins, "Vayam ispar b'nei Yisrael kechol hayam, asher lo yimad v'lo yisafer," that the Jewish people shall be ultimately like the sands of the seashore, that cannot be counted and cannot be measured. So one could say, well, if that's so, then what am I? I'm really very, very small, very, very insignificant. But then Hosea, at the very end of Perek Bet of Hosea, Hosea, the Navi, uses the inspiring words that HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us that in the end of time, they rastich li le'olam. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I will betroth you for all eternity. Ve'rastich li b'tzedek u'v'mishpat u'v'chesed u'v'rachamim. And I will betroth you in righteousness, in justice, with chesed, kindness, v'rachamim, and compassion. And then finally, ve'erastich li be'emunah, and I will betroth you through faith, or in faith, the adat et Hashem. And then you will know HaKadosh Baruch. So once again, we see a Haftarah from Hosea that begins with a concept that dwarfs the individual. Hayam ispar, the very number of the Jewish people will be kechol hayom. And a person can lose his or her identity when they ponder the fact that they're a part of something so great. But on the other hand, the Navi tells us that in the end of time, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will ultimately, shall we say, reduce this extraordinary volume of people that I can feel it is just me, just HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We're going to see how this concept of great and small plays itself out as well in other areas. Now, if you recall, when we were, I think before it might have even been last week, we talked about Tehillim Perek Chet, Tehillim, the 8th Perek of Tehillim. And we did talk then about the idea of mipi olim v'yonkin yisad ta'oz, that from the mouths of babes, you have actually established your own strength. When we look at a little child, we see HaKadosh Baruch Hu in that child. We are at Tselem Elokim. So when you see another human being, we actually see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is there and in the room. But I'd like to take another pasuk from this magnificent, short but magnificent parak. It says as follows: David Melech. The Medrash tells us that David Melech used to get up every night. He had a harp on his windowsill, and the winds of Yerushalayim would, so to speak, move around midnight, play on the harp, and it was his alarm clock. Then he woke up, and you can imagine, if anybody's ever looked at the sky, a Jerusalem sky, or if you're in the north of Eretz Yisrael, or even if you're in Montana or the big sky country, and you look up and you see hundreds and hundreds and thousands of stars, and you realize once again how dwarfed you are. You realize, my goodness, David, of course, asked, Ki eresh shamecha, when I see your heavens, ma'aseh etzbotecha, which are actually for you just the work of your fingers. Yareach v'kochavim asher konanta, that you set the stars and the moon in place. He asks the question, ma'anosh ki tizkerenu, what is man in the end? I am seemingly meaningless. Uven adam ki tifkedenu, and David then repeats it in a different way, and then he answers his own question. The greatness resides in this. It is true, I am small. I am a speck, I am a tiny speck on a planet which itself is just a speck in a solar system, which is just a speck in a galaxy, which is just a speck in the universe. But nevertheless, gives me my distinction? Because we are, in the end, just a touch below the divine. And you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, have given us the glorification and the majesty of being human. To be human is to contemplate not just the universe, to contemplate the future, to contemplate not only what we are, but what we can be. And so here, once again, David HaMelech looks at the entire universe, feels dwarfed, but he realizes it's true. It's wonderful to be part of something so majestic, but it is also, we must recognize that even in things which appear to be small, there is beauty and there is magnificence. Anybody who's gone to Niagara Falls, we went to many years ago, but I don't think I'll ever forget it. Aside from seeing it from the distance, if you take this this boat ride called the Maid of the Mist, and it starts about a mile from the falls, and the water ceaselessly is pounding and pounding and thundering from the top of the falls down to the Niagara River. And you can hear it, you can see it. And as you get closer, the roar becomes more and more intensified as you go. And you realize that you are so fragile, so small. And yet this Niagara Falls has been here since time immemorial. But I'm also now a part of that, because I'm a part of the universe which HaKadosh Baruch Hu created. Now, let's go back for a moment to the Haftarah that we read concerning HaKadosh Baruch Hu's promise that there is a certain form of almost like a betrothal, literally a betrothal, between Klal Yisrael and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's in the macrocosm. But of course, the macrocosm, really, that's very hard for us to understand. But we do understand human love. We do understand the idea of two people. Rabbi Yasha Ber Soloveitchik, for example, he always talks about the covenantal relationship. When two people enter into a covenant, they share not only transactions or share episodes in their life, they share a destiny. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, as the human being, and Rashi, by the way, Rashi mentions not here, but in other places, if you want to understand the mashal, you have to understand the nimshal. Okay, and because you're going to explain something that you don't know with something that you do know. When we understand the idea of marriage and love and bonding together on an individual level, then we can understand more that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the master of the universe. He is the Chatan, and we are the Kala. And thus he brings a covenant. Each of us brings to this covenant something. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, "Ve'rastichli la'olam." First of all, you should know that I, who am eternal, am betrothing you in an eternal way. Ve'rastichli v'tzedek u'v'mishpat. So the Jewish people, the Malbim says, what does the Jewish people bring to the table? Each part of this marriage, our job is to bring tzedek and mishpat. We are to bring to the best that we can bring tzedek, righteousness, making sure that fairness prevails in our society. Uva mishpat, and mishpat has to do with justice. Some things don't always come out fair, but in a court, it has to be just. And then HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings into this relationship chesed and rachamim, kindness and compassion. And then HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, "Ve'erastich li be'emunah." HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I will betroth you be'emunah. Now the question is, whose emunah? His or ours? Because we say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Keil Melech Ne'eman. Hashem is faithful. Also in Parsha Tazinu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Moshe says in praising HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Keil emunah ve'ein avel. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is is filled with emunah. He is the essence of emunah. And so therefore, it makes sense that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is bringing emunah to the table. But Abravanel, on this very parak, the parak bet of Hosea, says, in his view, it is the emunah of Klal Yisrael. The erastich li be'emunah, I will betroth you, so to speak, because, or in exchange for. The bet here in front of the word be'emunah means in exchange for. Because of your emunah, I will betroth you. I will share my destiny with yours. Our destinies will be one because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is one and created the world. And that's the essence of this beautiful, powerful parak that we have. One more thing. I'd like to take this idea of grandeur and the very, very minute all at once. We find this in our daily recitation of tefillot. If you look right after Baruch Hu each day, we before Baruch Hu, of course, we say Psukei de Zimra. But after Baruch Hu, we now engage in a passage in the liturgy that is so powerful that we cannot interrupt. It is something which we say daily from there all the way through Shemona Esrei, and we daily go through a daily journey through the cosmos. You think about it. I just saw, by the way, I think I just saw that in the latest National Geographics, they have as they often do, they have a very beautiful article on the cosmos and on the stars, and of course, to give ourselves an idea that how huge the universe is, which we can't even understand it completely. But the idea is the closest star, Alpha Centauri, is 4.5 light years away. That means light has to travel 4.5 years at the speed of light, 186,000 miles a second, before what you and I see actually gets to our eyes. So that'll help us to understand a little bit. That's the closest star. Now, we daily recount the idea in so to speak in Shemayim, what transpires each day, and it's we talk about the Chulam Ovim, all of Hashem's creations there in the cosmos and in Shemayim. All of them are beloved. All of them are Brurim. All of them are Giborim. These are all the Malachim. And then the Torah tells us, and then the Siddur tells us that each and every day they proclaim Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. They have their own Kedusha. Just as we say Kedusha, they say Kedusha. It's probably more correct. Just as they say Kedusha, we say Kedusha. But the point is that the very words that we utter are a repetition of what is uttered in Shemayim. And then, of course, we move from Shemayim, the outermost world. We go then to the next part. L'kel baruch ni'imoti tenu, to the blessed God, they give pleasant songs and praise. And we say about him that he is they say their praise, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu does so many things. He po'el gevurot, oseh chadashot. Each and every day he renews the creation. All right, borei refuos noratu hilot. He creates. I mean, he recreates the creation itself. Hamachadesh betuvo b'chol yom tamid maseh bereshit. All of the creation of the world, including the earth, each and every day, we acknowledge that HaKadosh Baruch Hu renews the creation every day. So we have now gone from the highest echelons of the universe. Now we get to our earthly universe, and then we go to Ahava Rabbah. We move to the tefillah, which begins Ahava Rabbah Avtanu. Hashem, you have loved us. And how have you loved us? You've given us a Torah which is our guide to life. And we say, Baruch Atah Hashem habocher ba'amo Yisrael b'ava. Baruch Hashem, we thank you for choosing the Jewish people in love. So now we have moved from the cosmos to our own universe, and from there we go to the Jewish people. But it's not done. We conclude then, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. We proclaim Hashem's oneness, And the very next word after Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto is the Ahavta. That it now goes from the celestial majesty, which we cannot even conceive of completely, to Hashem's universe, to the earth, to the Jewish people. And finally, each and every day, you and I can proclaim V'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha. It comes down to you and me, from the great to the small. And that is our daily journey that we take. So I just want to say that, Yerushalayim, of course, and Eretz Yisrael is going through a difficult period of time, very difficult period of time. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu bless the Jewish people. May he bless the Medina so that they'll make the right decisions that they need, of course, Siyata D'Shmaya. And may it be that next week at this time, Mir Hashem, it'll be after Shavuot, we'll be able to see maybe a little bit of a light at the end of this tunnel. So I want to wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom, and of course Chag Shavuot Sameach. May you have a wonderful and joyful Shavuot. We'll celebrate the very Torah that we speak about each and every week. And again, we want to remember yesterday was 45. So if you're going to come tonight, you can do that. So everyone, have Shabbos.
Amen.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye, everyone. Again, I apologize for the lateness. All righty. Okay, bye-bye.
Good Shabbos, good Yontif.
Yeah, good Shabbos. Yeah, and good Yontif to everybody. Shabbos and good